Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the border with Syria and the latest announcement by Benjamin Netanyahu that might be coming as a surprise for many of us. This is one of the most interesting statements that came out of Bibi for a very long time, where he came and officially said that Israel is going to be reinforcing its IDF presence in the newly occupied territories in the southern area of Lebanon, in the Hermon, in the Golan Heights, the northern area of Israel, as well possible taking over new parts of land in Syria. And he also gave a very interesting explanation. So we're going to be jumping right now about what could be the phase 1, phase 2, what's the end game here, which might be very exciting for the Israelis and for the Druze, not so exciting for the jihadis and the forces of wickedness that are coming in Syria. So without further ado, let's first jump and watch the video from Bibi Netanyahu, and then later on talk and discuss. I'm going to be showing also some maps to help you better understand what is happening. If you're new to this channel, my name is Mansour. I'm a former Israeli officer in the IDF and the Special Forces, and a Druze born and raised in Israel with relatives in Syria and in Lebanon. So we're going to be talking about this whole area of northern part of Israel. So let's dive right in.
להמשיך לעבות את אזור הביטחון וגם לפרוס אותו מזרחה למורדות החרמון כדי שנוכל לעזור עוד יותר טוב לאחינו הדרוזים בשעת מצוקה.
I was muted. Let's start again. So what he's saying here is basically Israel, the prime minister have gave the instructions to reinforce the southern border of Israel and send more troops and also go and take more territory in Syria. And the reason that he said for that is to be better prepared for the next time that Israel might need to go and rescue and save their Druze brothers and sisters in Syria. Because if you remember, save them from who? From the government of Syria, from the jihadists, from the Bedouins in the Dara area, and actually from all the Muslim jihadists that came from all over the Middle East last time when they raided the mountain in Syria. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit here on the map, just so have a better understanding of what is happening. So this is planet Earth. And when you zoom in, for those of you who are watching right now, look here. This is Israel over here. And this is Syria. Syria is quite a large country reigning all over this area. Jordan is here, Lebanon is here, Israel is here. These are the key players right now that we're going to be focusing on. Israel, Syria, Lebanon, and Jordan. Now, look here. This is, here comes the border between Israel, and that is the mountain, Sweda mountain. Here, let me remove this. This is the Druze mountain. They used to be called El Sweda, but now they actually call it the mountain of the Bashan, giving the name from the Bible, from the time where this belonged to the Jewish state of Israel. Now, Dara, that's over here. That's a key name for you to remember. This is the Bedouin area here that Israel used to help back in the days when Assad was slaughtering them, all the way that went even built the hospitals for them and were giving them treatments. Sometimes even Al-Qaeda and other jihadists will come and bring their wounded soldiers, put them at the border and ask Israel to heal them. Even though they were enemies of Israel, they knew that Israel have a very high humanitarian level, that they will help someone who is injured just so we can go back and fight against the Assad regime. Now, I want to show you here, just so you better understand. Look at this map. You see here, that's from 2024, as of December 2024, occupied by Israel, UN disengagement, observed forces, and Israeli troops. So what the UN declared as the original borders of Israel is what you see right now in white, the area of Israel. Then you have the red area, which they call the Golan Heights, and some call it the occupied Golan Heights, that belonged to the hands of Syria. But when Syria came and attacked Israel, Israel went and conquered it and said, never again, we're not giving it back, because it gives you a big strategic advantage over Israel in order to come and create more of these genocidal attacks. And the purple parts and the blue parts here is where Israel is right now, is deploying its forces. So these are new areas that Israel took after October 7 and the fall of the Assad regime. They went in quickly and they took these areas, and that came along when Israel launched, back then, was the biggest airstrike offense basically ever to be seen by the state of Israel, where they went and they completely took over the entire Assad regime air force. And further, they also went and created this buffer zone, because they saw that there's hundreds of thousands of jihadists that are willing to come to Israel and create another October 7. So Bibi Netanyahu now is saying that they actually might be adding, here, let's add this image here, they might actually start taking more territories to be more prepared. And he said east of the border. So we have here, that's north over there, that's east, that's west. And in this area here, that's right now the current border, you can say, they're going to come and they're going to expand it down to here. Now, what does that mean, and where is that bringing us? You see, there's been talks for a very, very long time of creating some kind of humanitarian corridor that will come from here. Let me show you, from here all the way to Sweda here. I'll show that again. I'm learning how to use these maps here. So from here all the way to here. Now, this will give Israel, how can I save? How do I change this? This will give Israel the ability to give some kind of a support, humanitarian aid, food, water, shelter, medicine to the people in Sweda or in Har Bashan. Because you see, all the people that are located in this area here, if you come and you show it, so all the way from here to, let's say, here, here, and kind of here, that's, you can come and say, the Druze territory, all this area here. Right now, they're still under siege. Let that sink in. For more than 200 days, they're still under siege. If the Druze will dare, or the Christians, by the way, there's Christians and Druze who are living there, if they will come out of this area, they get shot, they get killed, they get kidnapped, either by the Bedouins here or by the rest of the Muslims here. And it goes all the way in that region here. Now, unfortunately, even though they have a border with Jordan, Jordan has been refusing to open a humanitarian corridor to send in supplies, medicine, even food. There were times that people there were dying out of hunger and, well, cold, the winter. And the reason that Jordan doesn't want to open this is basically two. Number one, it's a racist reason. They're not Muslims, they're Druze, they don't care about them. And they're Christians, they don't care about them. Number two, you see the Bedouins who are living in this area here of Daraa, and who are living in this area of Mafraq and Safawi, all this area of southern Jordan and northern Jordan, they're all relatives. They're all part of the big Bedouin family. So they saw the attempt to go and genocide the Druze and failed as a failing attempt of their brothers to go and do what the Quran commands them. So, and also when Israel went and basically obliterated all of them in that area and all around, they got very frustrated and they wanted to go and join the fight as well. Jordan was very scared because they're Jordanian citizens. If they go in, Israel is going to go and basically obliterate them, and then that's going to make things very difficult with Israel. So Jordan was very, very afraid that the Bedouins from Jordan will enter, not to go and save, not to go and rescue, not to go and give humanitarian aid, but actually to go and slaughter, plunder, kill, and take sex slaves and bring them into Jordan as slaves. What they usually do, they will kill the man and they will take the daughters and the little boys and will bring them to their tribes as slaves. So Bibi is coming and saying directly, we are ready to come and bring the borders of Israel into a new border, basically, which is quite crazy when you think about it, because what they're thinking is bringing, basically, right now we hold this area and they want to expand it to something like this and possibly even like this. So that will be part of the new borders of Israel. I'm giving a rough kind of, borders here. And, if you look here, that's kind of from Lebanon, it comes here and here and here and here. Forget this line here. But that new area will be angst and made part of the Israeli occupation of the northern part of Israel. Now, look something very interesting. If you come and you take a measurement from here, right now, all the way to the mountain of the Druze and the Christians there, it's 73 kilometers that have in between the entire area of population of very radical jihadists, ISIS affiliates and Al-Qaeda affiliates, Muslims, called the area of Daraa. They can't be trusted. Israel helped them, and they've turned against Israel and started doing terrorist attacks against Israel. During the time where Assad was, sending airplanes and dropping barrels with explosives, killing hundreds of thousands of Syrians, including in this area, including women and children. He was dropping explosive barrels on schools, on hospitals, on funerals. A lot of the Bedouins in this area, they don't have bomb shelters. They don't have means to defend themselves from air forces. So they actually fled into the mountains of the Druze, and they were hiding among the Druze, and the Druze welcomed them in and protected them. Now, what happened is the Druze believed that these people will be their friends because we saved them, we helped them. Here we go. They're going to remember that in our favor. They were the first ones to betray the Druze, the first ones to go and kill them. And Israel understand. They understand that these people here in all this area here are extremely radical, to the point that they're always planning and plotting how can they go and massacre many, many Jews and enter all the way. They keep saying they want to go to Israel. So the distance between them to Jerusalem is 122 kilometers. Now, to help you understand, for those of you who don't know the distances in Israel, that's, roughly, I would say, 90 miles. The whole state of Israel is smaller than some cities almost in the United States. Just let that sink in. It's a very small country, and Israel cannot allow that. Now, here is a very, very interesting video that was shared by the Ministry of Defense in Israel, telling how do the Israeli secret intelligence units in the north, how do they identify who are these Syrian terrorists or these Lebanese terrorists, and how do they eliminate them? And that will give you some kind of a glimpse. This was recently released by the Ministry of Defense in Israel, and I took the liberty to dub it into English so you can better understand. But listen to it. That's a very interesting video.
Culture, how it operates, how it fights, what drives it as an organization. And the second thing is understanding people. When is he hungry? One is to understand the enemy, Hezbollah, its culture, how it operates, how it fights, what drives it as an organization. And the second thing is understanding people. When is he hungry? When does he pray? When does he sleep? These things together let us watch the enemy and predict what he'll do a week out. Once our tools tell us where the enemy is, my challenge as an intel guy is to keep the enemy in place, whether he knows it or not, and make sure he stays there until the strike. Once the enemy does what we expect him to do until he gets hit, we can be ready in half an hour or even less. By the way, from what you see in his behavior, does the enemy understand where you're coming from? He doesn't understand. He has no concept. He doesn't understand, and he can't understand because he doesn't know what he doesn't understand. Today, we're at 100% accuracy in targeting. It's an incredible achievement.
That's quite fascinating what they're saying here. They're saying here that basically they have learned to identify these jihadists. And I know some of these techniques that were invented by the ADF, because some of my friends were actually the ones to invent them in order to help the algorithm, let's call it that way, identify who's a jihadist and who's not. Believe it or not, we have the technology that helps us identify who is a jihadist and who's not by different means. I'm not going to share it here, but it just adds to the big puzzle. Okay, pay attention to this guy. He might be ISIS, he might be Al-Qaeda, he might be Hamas, he might be Palestinians, and etc. Other terrorist organizations in this region. Then they start following them. And to the point that when they decide they want to eliminate them, the guy here came and said, often their job will be also to make sure that they stay in that area until the IDF eliminate. And he came and he said that it takes from the moment that they identify and give the order to eliminate, okay, we need this guy out. He's part of the jihadists that are planning to go and massacre Jews or Druze or Christians. It will take sometimes up to half an hour, even less. That's crazy, guys, until the missile goes and hits him and eliminates him. Now, what they're saying here is to ensure that he stays in that area, they have means to make sure that he stays. Now, what kind of means would that be that will help you make a bunch of radical Allahu Akbar jihadists stay in one location until the IDF comes and eliminate them? Back in the days, it used to be more a job of special operations and special forces unit like Shaldag and Sayeret Matkal and other Sayeret Shlosh. They will go undercover, infiltrate that area, create some kind of an ambush or a station where they will hide, and they will monitor. They would look at the guy, they would laser the location, and they will give real life information. And if needed, they will do some things, some maneuvers, some tricks on the ground with the special forces to make sure that they stay. Sometimes we'll even engage with them to make sure that they keep fighting them so the IDF can come and eliminate them. But now we have advanced to even higher capabilities where you don't even need to have forces on the ground to convince these jihadists to stay there so Israel can eliminate them. And when he was asked, do they ever even suspect that the IDF is the one making them stay here? And he says they have literally no idea. I have a few ideas in my mind how this can be done. I'm sure you guys can think of a few yourself, maybe phone calls, maybe faking some emergencies, some things that will make him, maybe even promising him all kind of stuff like a text message. Hey, listen, this is happening here. I just found a bunch of girls in the desert that you can go and kidnap and will get them excited. Okay, let's stay here, guys. Or a shipment of slaves is coming your way. I'm not making this up. That is a lot of time the things that excites these kind of jihadists. They're very wicked human beings, if to call them human beings. And then the IDF will come and take them down. So Israel is deeply engaged right now with what seems to be this concern happening in the northern part of Israel. Now, I want to talk for a second a little bit about, there's a lot of these rumors right now. Israel is planning on creating the greater Israel, Everybody's talking about it. Israel is not planning on creating a greater Israel. Yes, there is some people in Israel that would like that, but they're a minority and they're also not relevant. The government of Israel have never made an official statement that they want to go and conquer the Middle East completely. And think about it logically. There's about 10 million people living in Israel. There's about 7 million Jews living in Israel, 7 to 8. Do you really think that they want to manage over 1 billion Muslims? Let that sink in. Hundreds of millions. Do you really think they want to manage that? Go and create the borders and then have these radical fanatics that still believe that it's okay to marry 6 years olds, that it's okay to have intercourses with them when they're 9 years old, that it's okay to have slaves, that it's okay to call black people as slaves. That's how they call them in the Middle East. Abid. Abid means slave. Now, a lot of your woke pro-Islamic friends in the West will tell you, no, they mean Abdullah, which means servant of God. No, they don't. They don't say Abdullah. They call him Abid. How do I know? Because I've heard many times. Actually, when I was hiking Jordan, I was one of the first, I think I'm the first Israeli actually to ever walk all of Jordan by foot. I walked all of Jordan from the north. Here, let me show you on the map. It's quite crazy. I walked all of Israel, all of Jordan. I also walked all of Israel. And we started somewhere in here, I'll show you. We started here. The hike starts kind of in the area close to the northern border with Syria, and it goes all the way down to the border with Elat, to Aqaba. So that's That's about 690 kilometers, about 500 miles. I've walked all of that by foot. I grabbed a backpack with who became later on the mother of my child, an amazing lady from Germany. And we both hiked. We actually got kidnapped in Jordan as we were doing it, somewhere in the area of the desert here. We got kidnapped. It was a crazy story. We can tell you maybe another time. Around this area here in the desert, above Wadi Musa, around this area here, the map that we're giving didn't have enough information to tell us, where there's water, the path was not correct. The Jordanian didn't do a very good job of providing these maps for hikers. So we had to sometimes go into Bedouin camps and ask them, hey, can you give us some water? Can you give us some food? We'll pay for it. Sometimes they asked for money. Sometimes they were very generous and gave it from the kindness of their heart. One time, one man sent his young boy to run down and call us to come and sit in his tent. Very biblical kind of, So we went up, sat with him in the tent, and then he asked, would you like to eat something, join us for lunch? We said, yeah, that would be great. And also if we can take some vegetables, tomatoes and stuff to take on the way, we're willing to pay. He says, no problem. Let me send my boy to fetch the slave, and he will go down and bring you water and food. So when he said the word abid, I was like, huh? And then, surprise, surprise, a black man, a dark-skinned African descent, living in Jordan, who is literally referred as a slave, went down, brought us the food and everything, and later on even walked us down a little bit. Very friendly guy. But that's what's happening in the Middle East. So what I'm saying is that's literally what they're hoping to get and all the stuff. Israel needs to be prepared for that. Now let's go back to the map here that I showed you. So we have the Golan Heights, and then you have what you have, phase 1, phase 2, and maybe a safe zone here. Israel gave an instruction to Jawlani, the government, the leader of Al-Qaeda and ISIS, who's ruling right now over Syria, the guy who just started putting a suit now and shaved the beard a little bit, and everybody's liking him in the West. They told him, you are not allowed to send your forces southern from Damascus. If we see a Syrian soldier or anyone with a weapon walking the desert in that area, we'll take him down. Why would Israel say that? Because they know. Because they have that kind of intelligence that I showed you before that shows them what these people are planning, and that they're planning to come and build a massive buildup, supported by Turkey and Qatar and others, and with a lot of Palestinians and pro-Hamas organizations, and then hopefully jump and attack Israel and create, October 7th. We've seen several videos already, numerous. I've showed in my channel of Syrian official soldiers even going around marching in the streets and shouting, Haybar, Haybar, Ya Yahud, Jesh Muhammad Sayaud, which is a reference to the times in the Quran when they went and basically betrayed a Jewish city and massacred the man and took the women as slave and the children and did horrific stuff with them. Also, they're saying that they want to go all the way to Jerusalem to take over Jerusalem and bathe in the blood of the Jews in the streets of Jerusalem. So that's when you have the Marines in the US walking around saying, I don't know what I've been told, doing their songs. The equivalent Syrian military morale songs is, I'm going to bathe in the blood of the Jews, and I'm going to go and kill and massacre, and I'm going to enslave. So that's the mentality that you're having in Syria. That's the kind of neighbors that we have there. And obviously you can't really trust them. Now, another very interesting thing, which I believe, that's my opinion, maybe this would lead to the creation of the humanitarian corridor to actually go and protect the Druze and also give them some kind of a connection to Israel. Mind you, the Druze right now and the Christians in the mountain of the Bashan are going around and saying all the time that they want to be angst by Israel. A lot of Christians and a lot of Druze and a lot of minorities, including Alawites, some Kurds even, are coming saying, Israel, take us. Come, take us. We don't want to be with these Muslim Meshuganas. They're crazy. Come, take us. We want to live under a Jewish state. And because they know that they will get, treated with honor, dignity, and will have the freedom to practice their faith and safety, security, and good economy, and etc. So that is what is happening in the Middle East, and Israel is finally speaking a language that it took them 70 years basically to learn to speak, which is the language of the Arab man, the language of the Middle East, which is speaking power and respect, and also being proactive and not reactive. Up until now, Israel was always come with a very European politeness mentality, kind of, hey, let's be polite, let's understand, let's respect them. And that never worked. They always took advantage of it. They always tried to kill you and always tried to find new ways to come and massacre your people. So Israel is now a different Israel. After October 7, it's a different Israel, and we're seeing it. For those who didn't register yet, guys, it's a different Israel. Israel after October 7, the IDF, the Mossad, the intelligence force, the Air Force, everything is a different Israel. They don't play by the same rules before. They don't wait for the enemies to come and try to kill them in order to go and stop them. They go immediately before and they stop it. They don't talk to them. They don't listen to their nonsense. Even in Lebanon, for example, Israel is saying right now, I've never seen diplomats saying it. Gideon Sa'ar just were interviewed, publicly saying, while we're having peace talks with Lebanon, he went and he publicly said this. This is Lebanon, and this is where Israel is planning to possibly go all the way to the Litani River, to hold that area and destroy everything that Hezbollah have in that area. Israel is saying, with all due respect to the peace talks with Lebanon, and we would love to have peace with them, we can't trust their government is a failing government. That must be offensive. For some people in the government, they must get offended, like, oh my God, he just called us. Well, they are. They're a very failing government. Their economy is collapsing completely, and terrorists and Iranians, proxies like Hezbollah and others, are controlling their streets. They can't do anything about it. So the Christians and the Druze and all the minorities there are literally voiceless and cannot really shake away Lebanon from turning into a terrorist state. So Israel's saying, we can't trust you guys. We're going to go and do it. So you're seeing that Israel is not waiting for permissions anymore. Israel is not looking to be the nice guy and trying to understand culture diversity and let's understanding they're different. No, they're not. It's not about culture diversity. It's not about they're different than us. It's literally about that a lot of the neighboring countries around Israel, not all, but a lot of them, and the powers that is controlling them are a bunch of savages, a bunch of evil savages that really literally want to kill, enslave, and destroy. And Israel is one of the only ones. Let me show you a very interesting video, and then we're going to jump to what Bibi Netanyahu came to say, because there's another very interesting video of Bibi. But look what Israel is doing right now in the northern part of Israel, and including some areas in Syria now that they control it. And look at the difference between what Israel does when it controls over land to what the radical Muslims around us do. So this is Israel. I'll show you that again. When Syria was in control of that area, they went and planted tens of thousands, not even hundreds of thousands of mines all over the mountain. Now, the thing is with mines is that when an advanced modern country put mines against the enemies, they always map them. Not only that they map them, they have literally special forces that will go. It's a dangerous job, very dangerous job. And Israel, it's Sayeret Yael who usually do that. That every once in a while will literally go and make sure that the mines are where they're supposed to be. Because what happened is with the drift and the moving of the soil and of the land, the mine starts moving, the rain, the movement of the earth, they start moving and they change their location. And sometimes these movements can be tens, if not even hundreds of meters away from where they're intended to be. So you need to always go and map these areas to make sure that you know where these mines in case you want to remove them. Syrians, they didn't do that. They just went and put mines. Same thing. Remember, that's exactly what happened with Iran right now, the Strait of Hormuz. They came and said, we don't know where the mines are. They've literally went irresponsibly. When you give weapons to these irresponsible jihadists, catastrophe. They went and they dropped mines all around the Strait of Hormuz, and now they don't know where they are. So Israel is sending their forces right now, and their civilian units as well. I have a very good friend of mine that work in one of these units, a civilian kind of contract that they have, people that were experts for diffusing mines and finding them in the army. They go and they look for every single mine. They find them. They put wires all between them, and then they detonate them from far away and completely destroy, and then they go and check it again. And to make sure that there's no more active mines in these areas. Now, mind you, an old anti-tank mine, after 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, can explode from a bird that would land on it, let alone a cow that will step on it, or a traveler or a backpacker or a family that just went on a picnic. So a lot of the areas in northern part of Israel are blocked until today from Israelis to go. If you drive in the northern part of Israel, which is one of the most beautiful areas in the country of Israel, kind of looks like a mini Europe. There's a lot of mines, fences. You can't go in. Once in a while, we'll have a family or someone that went in and got strangled, either injured or just get stuck, and now he doesn't dare how to move. And then Israel will come with a helicopter and rescue him. So they're taking the advantage right now to clear that area. So mind you, a country that cherish life, cherish nature, compared to countries that cherish death and only destroy nature. So that's one of the things that Israel is doing right now. Now, let me show you a very interesting video that is coming from Benjamin Netanyahu, talking about how does the state of Israel look at al-Jawlani and the leadership of Syria right now. While the world and Europe might be falling for him, Israel is not very easy to trust the guy, if at all. They don't trust him at all, actually. And that's what Bibi Netanyahu officially came and said about him. So that's a prime minister of one country talking about the leader of another country that is a neighboring country that Europe is welcoming right now with a red carpet. Israel is saying, no, we're not falling for it. Hear it out, because every word he said there is gold.
Game I'm interested in. The game I'm interested in is what happens on the ground. Does Syria become a peaceful country? Does he weed out plays basketball on? I think the issue is not how he plays basketball on a basketball court, but what he does on the ground. And by the way, I personally prefer football, soccer as they call it in America, but that's not the game I'm interested in. The game I'm interested in is what happens on the ground. Does Syria become a peaceful country? Does he weed out the jihadists in his own military? Does he work forward with me to achieve a demilitarized zone in southwest Syria that abuts the Golan Heights? What do we do to secure our Druze brothers? The Syrian Druze brothers of Israel were mutilated, massacred, almost as bad as in the October 7th massacre that was conducted by Hamas in Gaza. I mean, you can actually see a film of these jihadists tear the heart out of a man, a Druze man, while he's alive and eating it.
I've seen that video. I don't know if you got to see that video. They tied a man to the wall. They're holding him, pinning him to the wall. And then a bunch of guys, jihadists are going there, holding cameras, filming. They always love to film themselves with glee in their eyes when they're doing these acts. And then they just put a knife through his chest and take it down. And the guy is screaming. He's still alive, screaming. And the one guy just start putting his hand in, opening his ribcage. The guy is still alive, no sedative. He's still alive, screaming. And then they grab his heart, pluck it out. And the guy sees it. It takes a few seconds until basically your brain dies from lack of blood and oxygen, etc., or just severe pain that you faint. And they take the heart and start, and then he eats it. And just not a single word of condemnation from Ahmed al-Shara. These were his soldiers. Look at the difference. A rogue dimwit IDF soldier went and broke a statue of Jesus Christ in Lebanon. Israel immediately condemned it. They found the soldier, they put him in jail, they put the cameraman in jail, and they actually went and even built them a new statue, a more, I would say beautiful and fancy kind of, statue with all kind of elements on it, but they gave them a new statue. A Jewish state went and built a new cross and a statue of Jesus Christ for the Christians living in that area and said, we're sorry, this is not how we operate. That's how a country should do. Syria, their people and soldiers went and started plucking the hearts, beheading people, including women and children, violating them. Not a single word of condemnation from Ahmed al-Shara, which tells you a lot. Let's be honest. Now, he was invited later on, numerous times to go and meet with European parliaments and etc. That just shows you the level of morality that we're having right now in the West. Meanwhile, they love to condemn Israel, but that's exactly what they're doing. Let's keep hearing.
I mean, this is horrible, horrific. So I acted to protect our Druze brethren, And I want an arrangement that both demilitarizes southwest Syria and offers permanent protection for the Druze minority in Syria. If we have that, we can move on. I'm going to look, when I look at Ashara, I'm going to look at what is actually being done, what is actually being achieved. And it's, remember President Reagan? Probably don't, but he had a saying vis-a-vis the Soviet Union and the détente that was being advocated. He said, trust but verify. And I say trust and distrust, but verify.
Trust and verify. Trust and distrust and verify. Israel is taking it to a next stage when it comes to that. So I'm going to open it up right now for questions and answers, questions and answers, and we'll try to give my best to help you. I've seen a very disturbing comment made here on my video. I don't mean it in any disrespect, but I'm just going to ask a question about it. Michael Somerling Race 2929 said, my mother is a traitor to me. Her daughter, they tried to poison me. And they hated when I fell in love with a Jewish man. Ooh, wow. I'm very sorry about that. Ooh. So I'm guessing that you come from a Muslim background. And let's see if I can find more comments, from this. But and then they got angry at you that you fell in love with a Jewish man. And they poisoned you. My goodness. Well, if you have anything you want to add or say about this, just write it down so it's going to be easier. My stepfather is Jordanian and hissing a big secret in America. All right. All right. I'm going to, if I get more information about this, I'll share it here, and I hope that you're well. But if you have any questions, guys, now would be a good time to write it. If you don't mind writing it again, so I can try to answer them. It's going to be easier for me than to go through everything here. It's have been 5 years ordeal for me. Wow. I'm very sorry that you have to go through this. I know many stories where people who try to either leave Islam or show some love to Israel or the Jews, and they face very severe punishments, including torture and death, which is very, very sad. And I hope that they will stop. Literally, I hope that they will wake up and join Team West, Team Future, and stop with this barbaric behavior. My prayers are for you and your family. Ihomri 684, our dear friend here, is asking, Mansour, do you see any way to annex or reach the Druze, I'm believing here, not the Druze mountain, people without going through Dara? That is a challenge. That is the biggest challenge that Israel have right now. Otherwise, they would have long ago, I believe, brought the Druze closer, and maybe even possibly made them part of Israel as they're wishing. Here, let me show you at this map here. So if this is the area, like we said, that's Dara right here, right? It's a very, very big area that have lots of radical Bedouins, Muslims living in it. El Sueda, the Sueda mountain, is here. For Israel to be able to, let's say, create a direct border with Sueda, it's going to be very, very challenging, because you need to be able to come from, let's say, here, let's say by the border with Jordan. So let's do like this. Let's try to here, then to here. Then you're going to have to go through Dara Now, what are you going to do? You're going to kick all the Muslims from there? That's a problem. So then maybe you say, okay, we're going to do it northern, but then you're blocking basically Dara and leaving it with Jordan. That's a problem. So the easiest way that I'm thinking would be to come from the southern part, this connection between the border between Israel, Jordan, and Syria, right here, and move at the border, coordinate with Jordan, evade Dara, and then from here reach the Druze territory, and then you can create some kind of a humanitarian corridor kind of here. So Israel will need to create a path that is going to be around 100 kilometers more or less, which will constantly be attacked by jihadists, constantly. They don't care about their life. They just want to murder people. So is that a problem for Israel? Not very much. Hey, Bethany, good to see you. Good to see you. Bethany is a very dear friend of mine. I think she's Canadian, that volunteered in the shelter in Eilat, and we hiked a lot in the desert. Hope you're doing well. And she was also in Jordan and knows the Middle East very well. So, hey, she saw my reply. That's an Instagram. You're not seeing this. The ones who are on YouTube or other platforms. So, for Israel practically doing this, does Israel have a problem taking down jihadists? No, they're literally among the bottom of the food chain in combat. They're very easy to take down. You know, when Hamas invaded Israel, let's be honest, they sent their special forces, 3,000 of them, armed to the teeth. And they got followed by about like 5,000 more Gazans, citizens, armed to the teeth. Surprised, Israel was surprised. They managed to kill 1,200 Israelis, mostly women and children and people celebrating a party. And they got killed by these citizens mostly until the IDF came and finished the job. So mothers and teenagers literally went and grabbed weapons and defeated them. So that just shows you how not effective they are. They're genocidal. They want to kill, but they're not very strong as they try to portray them in the Arab world. But the Arab world in general have a very... Sean Pero, the MMA fighter. My God, I'm having all my friends here on Instagram joining here. By the way, Sean Pero is a Druze MMA fighter that is working right now on having his next fight. We need to cheer up for the guy. Hopefully one day we'll have a Druze champion, Israeli Druze champion in the UFC. What an amazing... He always goes to the cage with an Israeli flag and the Druze flag. Love the guy. Can't wait. I wish I can go and train with him. He's right now in Brazil, I think, doing another working camp. If you haven't seen him, his name is Sean Pero, Seanpero. Sean Pero, friend of mine on Instagram. You can find him there. We come from neighboring villages. I've met him personally a few times. Great, fascinating guy. A Druze guy that was raised in Tel Aviv, grew up in the village, knows the Middle East also inside out, and is not missing a chance to stand and be proud of his Israeli Druze heritage. Back to the story here. So Israel will have to go and create some kind of a defense here. Now, who will defend it? I know the Druze are offering, we'll do it. We'll have our men. They've already built their Druze army. This is the first time in history that the Druze have their own army. Yes, the Druze had a Druze brigade called the Sword Brigade, Dut Cherev, in the IDF. It was dismantled like several years ago for logistic and other problems. Also, they wanted them to integrate more into society and not just stay, in their own brigade. But they were efficient. They were good. In the Second Lebanese War, the only brigade that had no casualties fighting Hezbollah and who have inflicted the highest numbers of casualties to Hezbollah was the Druze brigade. Interesting, right? So Golani, Tzarchanim, paratroopers, Nachal, which are great, had more casualties and ended up killing less Hezbollahs than the Druze brigade, who killed more of the enemy. So they were known to be fierce warriors, the Druze. And also, not only that, they have some kind of an edge over the competition, let's call it, because they know the mentality of the Middle East usually better than, their Jewish brothers and sisters. So that's why a lot of time they train, they help them. And you have the Druze reaching some of the most elite units in the IDF. in every aspect, also in the intelligence service and etc. Great strategic assets for the state of Israel. There's about 170,000 Druze in Israel. That's nothing, but they are extremely overachievers, and they are very high ranked in the army, military, economy, business sector, and etc. So the Druze are saying, we'll go there. We have our own army now. We will go. We'll protect this corridor, boots on the ground. You guys will give us some kind of an aerial support. Apaches, airplanes, fighter jets, intelligence, and etc. Realistic? Could work. Challenging? Very challenging. Very challenging, because that means that for a very long time, they're going to be dealing with a lot of fighting in that area, which later on will push to maybe even pushing away the Muslims of Daraa, northern and northern and northern, away from the border. Could that be some kind of a hidden strategy that Israel is having? I'll be honest here. Yes, it could. Anyone who have a little bit of strategy in his brain will realize that this is a good strategy. We know what they're going to do. They're a death cult. We're going to go and protect these Druze. They're going to come and try to murder them. We're going to go and kill them. It's going to create some kind of stir a lot of problems. And then we'll go and completely crush them and humiliate them in a way that they can't even imagine, to the point that they will, again, power and respect, they will run with their tails between their legs and go up to the north. It's very feasible in terms of strategy, but it's very, very, there's nothing official calling for it. And I'll be very honest also, Israel is dealing with 8 wars actually, with social media. And for 3 years already. So they're not jumping too fast right now to enter another war unnecessarily, but they want to see how can they protect the Druze in that area to help, establish it. So you can see here Damascus, that it's a little bit blurry here, but the word, the Damascus is kind of the red marked word in the middle there. And under it, there's Sueda. That's the Bashan mountain. That's the area of the Druze. And this whole red zone here, in order for Israel to go and completely connect to the Druze, they will have to literally conquer all of that area. That's a huge area. Huge area. If you ask me, none of Syria belonged to the Muslim. It was a Christian country. Just a bunch of weird French people and British came and just said, okay, you guys stay there, and gave it to the radical, Sunnis there. And later on, the Alawites came and took it over, and then the Shias are fighting. But it doesn't belong to them. As a matter of fact, every Muslim occupied territory that you see that is outside of Saudi Arabia here, every Muslim territory in the world that is outside of this desert, basically, everything has been colonized. It doesn't belong to Islam. Islam literally started in the area of here, Medina, Mecca, and these places. So anything outside of that area is actually occupied territory that was occupied by force and by enslavement and by killing in the most brutal way you can imagine. Very, very disgusting, very brutal way. None of them became Muslim because they wanted, because they saw a better future. No, none. They all fought against it, and even sometimes generation later on, under enslavement and jizya, they kept fighting. So Syria here doesn't belong to the Muslims, guys. This whole area here originally doesn't belong to them. All of Syria here. Okay, the map here is blocking me, but you can get the idea. All this area here doesn't belong. It actually goes a little bit more, but doesn't belong to them. They took it by force, and right now they're forcing Sharia law and death on everybody in that region. So if Israel will come and say, you know what, let's give the Christians and the Druze and the Kurds and the Alawites this area here, let's make it theirs. They can live there. They can have their own autonomy. They can have finally safety and security and the freedom of religion to practice their faith and live respectfully, without the fear of Sharia law being enforced on them, and death and enslavement and torture, the things that are literally suffering right now. Churches are being bombed, Christians are being kidnapped, Druze are being massacred, Alawites are being massacred, just death. Syria have become Gaza 2.0, Palestine 2.033. It's a very, very dark place, and a very, very dark place for minorities. Any minority in Syria will tell you that. It's about time that you start listening to the people actually living in the Middle East rather than the people that came to Europe as an invading force and who are spreading propaganda in your universities and in your schools. So if Israel would ever make this happen, then it's a win-win. Why? Because Israel now will have a border with people who are not a death cult, who don't want to jump in and kill and massacre Israelis. And if the border will be secured and strong here, that means that this area can flourish. Well, not in Damascus. We're not going to take Damascus. So let's remake this map again. So it will be, I would say, all the way like this, kind of. So let's say this. Now Damascus and the jihadists have this whole area here to play their jihadist games. The Kurds are in this area. They're not jihadists. They're not crazy. They're actually very nice. So Syria will have the center here. Let them play their games there. Let them play their games there. Israel will have peaceful neighbors here, and you will see economy, stability, culture, science will start flourishing here, and it'll be a place for American and Israel and European investments to go in. So it's a win-win for everyone, and the Christians and the Druze and all the minorities want. The only problem they have here is the Dar'a Muslims. They're the ones, so I'm giving you right now a very deep brief about what's happening. They're the ones that are making this very impossible because they occupy this area and they continue committing acts of terrorism and theft. Not everything is killing by terrorism there. A lot of the killing is also done by tribal disputes and, theft and killing someone just to take his cattle and his business and his children. But you can call that terrorism, actually. So that area here is right now, if it will become one day belong to the Druze and the Alawites can be in the north, the Druze can be, let's say, here or here, the Christians, it will become another paradise on earth, and it's going to be a win-win for Israel. If I was the prime minister of Israel, that would be the goal that I will aim for. Undoubtedly, because it's the right thing to do. The world like it or not, we don't care. Europeans are irrelevant. They were never really had a good opinion. They only cause damage most of the time with their policies and what they try to do around the world. And right now they're causing more damage by trying to defend jihadists and condemn America and Israel. So you should not listen to them. And also, let's be honest, Europe is becoming a museum and they're not really advancing the world technologically, AI, militarily, etc. They weren't even able, they're so blinded that they weren't even able to go and help America and Israel to defeat an Iranian radical jihadist regime that want to build a nuclear weapon and also fight alongside with them to help protect the stairs of Hormuz, which they need, by the way. So, it's quite crazy that they're so incapable of doing the right thing here. It's so crazy that they're so incapable of doing the right thing, which is literally going and defending their own. So Europe is irrelevant. So Israel should not, right now with this administration, with Donald Trump, there's a lot of backing to do the right thing when it comes to these things. So that's something that will always hold in favor of Donald Trump when it comes to that. So I hope that answers your questions. Is if it's going to happen, it's a bit hard. Maybe yes, maybe no. Let's hope. Now, someone else is asking another question here. How big of a percentage of Christian population in Lebanon support Israel? That's a very good question. You see, Arab Christians are a bit different than American Christians. It looks like I'm sitting on the tank here. They're a bit different than American Christians. They're very pacifist. They're very, in many possible ways, meek. They're also very neutral. They don't want, and I understand, they've been living under Islamic occupation and threat of constant death for so long that they say, we don't want to get involved in anything. And to appease their Muslims brothers, they have adapted a lot of anti-Semitism theology into their teaching. And they often, which was bizarre, because they would often, hate Israel and the Jews and support the Islams, where Israel and the Jews are way closer to them theologically and culturally. So with that said, there's a lot of Christians there that don't hate Israel. Actually, they see things very clearly. They're very educated. The Lebanese people are one of the most educated people in the Middle East. How many percentage? It's going to be very hard for me to give you a percentage. I know that there is quite a large percentage there that actually support and love Israel and have shown that in the past and even work with them during the times of Tzadal, the southern Lebanese army that was helped to be created by Israel to protect themselves from the jihadists and Hezbollah. But there's also quite a lot that still, I call them woke. I'll say it that way. In Lebanon, you have the old school Christians, many of them quite in favor of Israel. Some of them completely went cuckoo, but many. You have the younger one and the woke Christians there, as you can expect from woke. Pro-Palestine, pro-jihad, pro-Hezbollah, even though Hezbollah is destroying the country. And now they're being very confused because they really believe that Hezbollah was so strong and the defender of Lebanon. And now they see that Hezbollah is actually terrorizing Lebanon and also extremely weak and not even a challenge for the IDF. So that's, hope I can answer that question from here. Let's see if there's more questions. So people are saying, so the borders in the north are going to expand South Lebanon too. That's a very good question, and I will show you right now a few maps to help illustrate this. You have this here that shows you the red is what they call the occupied Golan territory. It's not occupied as part of Israel. A little bit of the purple where you can see some kind of a line that was expanded by the IDF, and then they're talking about maybe expanding here. No one is really saying that, but that's the Daraa province that is separating between them and the Druze. But also, this is where the main threat for Israel come from, because Turkey and Syria are trying to flood all the jihadists into that region to come in and invade Israel October 7th style. They're literally saying that. That is one challenge they have. Another challenge that Israel have is the border with Lebanon. As you can see here, the blue line is the current border. And the Litani River is a natural border, a very big, beautiful river that is separating north part of Lebanon to the south part of Lebanon. A lot of talks are coming and saying, we don't need to go all the way to Litani, but at least Bin Jbel, which is one of the strongest strongholds of Hezbollah, that if you've seen some of the images have completely been flattened. It looks like Gaza, which is a huge humiliation for Hezbollah because this was literally the stronghold. Nakura and others, people are saying that Israel should this time enter, I don't know if all the way up to the Litani. I'll show you on the other map here. But at least go in and don't go out again. That's literally what people in Israel are saying, and I can completely understand that. I'll explain to you why. I actually support that. So if this is the border with Israel, right? That's the Israeli border right here. And that is Lebanon here. Okay, Bin Jbel here. What people are suggesting right now, that's coming from a lot of reservists in the army. And they're saying something that makes sense. They're coming and saying, listen, guys, secular people, religious, doesn't matter. They're saying, guys, khalas. Every time you called us to the flag as reservists, we left our families back home. We left our businesses. We came, we put the uniform on, and we went into war to defend our country. And we conquer the southern part of Lebanon. We lose dear, beautiful soldiers in the way and citizens sometimes. And then we destroy Hezbollah like Weeking and run away with our tails between their legs. And then comes some kind of weird peace agreement and pressure from the Western world. And we give it back. Only to be called again and again. So some Israelis are saying, come on, I've been there like 4 times. Stop calling us every time to go there just to give it back. If you want to hold it, don't give it back. Lebanon is a failing country. They can't handle it. We can't trust them. Hezbollah is always going to come and threaten. And if you understand geographically, let's see if we can show you. That's a very interesting. Ooh, that's cool. Okay, look here. The mountains are much, much higher in the area. So this is a lower altitude here. And all the areas here are higher mountains. Look here. See? So when you're standing in these areas here, you're literally controlling over Israel strategically. You're literally shooting into these farmlands, killing farmers, destroying lives. You have a big strategic advantage over Israel, because literally the mountains, the northern part of Israel, it goes higher and higher and higher. That's like the areas here. So it's very hard from here. You shoot in, it slops here. So see, you're on the top here and you start shooting down. So what the Israelis are saying, the reservists and the soldiers here, crazy. I think that's one of the areas where the soldiers were kidnapped when they came and ambushed from top to bottom. Ancient military strategy, higher ground always give you an advantage most of the time, unless you're very intelligent. See here, that's crazy. Look at this. Look at the fall that you have from here to here. Like you're standing there, you can literally stand and piss on Israel. Forgive my French. You can stand with a sniper gun and just take Israelis as much as you want, smoking hubbly bubbly, a shisha and nargila. So for Israel, this is very, look at this. This is crazy. Like, look how high here. So for Israel to go in, and we'll draw right now, let's put it back to this. So for Israel, what would make sense, and that's what many Israelis are saying, people that understand, anyone that understands strategy knows that. We should take, instead of this border here, which is like this, like this, like this, kind of, you get the point. Okay, they're saying, let's take all the way, kind of something like this. Take this area from Lebanon, don't give it back to them. Some are saying even a bit less, okay, half of that. And then you can ensure the security of Israel. So in the big picture, if you would ask me, the best option would be, how can I add? The best option would be if Israel would literally come and make this all the way to here, let's say, to here, 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 kind of. If Israel will take this area and add it to Israel, then Israel would look like some kind of a horse, a seahorse. Ah, look at that. Exactly. It's a seahorse. So Israel looks some kind of a seahorse. That will be the ideal situation for everyone in the Middle East, except from the radical Muslim jihadists. Hands on my heart. The Christian would love it. The Druze would love it. The Jews would love it. The Alawites would love it. The Kurds would love it. Everybody would love it. And then you will start seeing the minorities starting flocking down towards Israel because they will feel safer, because Israel will protect them. You saw how strong Israel and how capable they are in, finding these jihadists before they come and take them out. So it will be a safe place for minorities as well. So that's why I think, to answer the question of Shah Gadol, that would be the northern border that I would imagine strategically would be the best. That's a very interesting question. Can I, as a Druze born in Jaramana, originally from Majd al-Shams, go and live in Israel? We've had already Druze from Syria enter Israel. So Israel is not worried about the Druze, they're actually very welcoming. The problem would be from you is to move all the way from Jaramana, which is in the area of Damascus, right here, to move all the way to Israel. So that's going to be very, very Jaramana. See, so this is Jaramana here, guys. That's like a Druze province that is located in the area of Damascus. An interesting story about Jaramana. Very interesting story. It was a big province, belonged to the Druze. It was very rich, very successful. People there were having very modern, honorable. When Bashar al-Assad was killing its own citizens, a lot of the Muslims from the neighboring areas of Damascus and others start running into Jaramana asking for shelter, and the Druze welcomed them. They brought them in, welcome. And then what happened is they brought more and more. They brought more and more kids, and they became the majority. When they became the majority, they started killing the Druze and taking their property. And right now, it's a very bad place to live in if you're a Druze. They're literally going to universities there, and they're kidnapping Druze students, and they're stabbing them, and they're even going and marking on the doors that Druze lives in that room and that room for ISIS and Al-Qaeda. There's a Druze girl here or here, go and kidnap her. So Druze girls and boys have left universities. They can't study there in that area, so they're all moving down to the areas of Jabal al-Druze, al-Suweda. They're all going to al-Suweda to seek shelter, and many are actually coming to the area of Israel, close to Israel, to live under the security of Israel. So I'm hoping sooner or later Israel takes on a daily basis tens of thousands of Muslims from Jordan to come into Israel to work. Tens of thousands on a daily basis. There's an agreement between countries. There's a company there that actually rip off and steal money from the Muslims themselves. I know it because I've spoken to many of these workers. They literally take half of the salary to themselves and give the other half, even less, to the Muslim from Jordan. But they're coming into Israel on a daily basis through the Allenby crossing and through the Yitzhak Rabin crossing, which is, if you want to see it, I forgot how knowledgeable I am about the situation in Israel. I love this country. So over here, there's a crossing. It's probably going to be blurred for security reasons. Aqaba, okay. Over here, there's a crossing that leads you into Jordan. And on a daily basis, they come in from Aqaba into Israel, from here into here, to work in the hotels, work in the agriculture, and they can go back. They get paid much better money than they get paid in Jordan. Most of them are Muslims. And then you have also in the north part of Israel, another crossing that will allow Jordanians basically to enter from Jordan into Israel again, and they go and work agriculture and etc. and go back. I say stop taking Muslims. They don't like us. Many of them hate us. I spoke to many of them in Israel. They literally hate us. And it's just a ticking bomb. And we had already several, terrorist attacks that happened. Several. Now, it will suck, I know. It will be very, very sad for the peaceful Muslims that want to actually have a better chance to give life and security to their children and who are living in very crappy countries, like, forgive my French, like the situation you have right now in Syria and in Jordan in some ways, financially, economically. It's not very good. So they have a much better chance to come into Israel and work in Israel, etc. Stop bringing them. Bring Druze. Bring Druze instead. And that will actually give, I think, some of the Druze born in Jeremiah and others the chance to come and live in Israel. What I would say, if you are living there as a Druze, get out of Jeremiah, have nothing to do there, and go to the border with Israel and start living in one of the small Druze towns there. Just, if you sit long enough outside of a barbershop, sooner or later, you're going to get a haircut. A great quote that I've heard Denzel Washington say one time: sit outside of a barbershop for long enough, sooner or later, you're going to get a haircut. Stay in Jeremiah, sooner or later, you're going to have a terrible fate for you and for your family. That's my opinion. Let's see which other questions we have. What is needed for Israel IDF and their actions to go deeper in Syria and to relate life suffering under the regime there? What is needed is, I guess, for the West to start seeing things clearly. Because every time that Israel does the right thing, it gets scolded and scorned by the international community because they've been heavily compromised by communist, narcissist, and jihadist ideology. Right now, they do have the support of America, but not full on for this, because America have also interest in Syria and have Tom Barak and others who are very, very corrupt, pro-jihad, pro-Islam, pro-Muslim Brotherhood agents that are very, very pro-Turkey. So there's a pressure from them, Saudi Arabia and others, to not let Israel do that because the Muslim world doesn't do. So America is right now, they're very much pro-Israel in favor, but also they have some strings being pulled by the Arab world and a lot of money coming from there. So when we start seeing clarity from the United States and from Europe regarding the problem of global Islam and their colonizing attempt to keep conquering and enslaving and destroying cultures, then the West will wake up, and then everybody will actually say, wow, Israel is literally our champion. They've been doing this for so long, saving people and fighting these radicals. But up until now, they're not. They don't have that clarity. They will start having it. So I actually think, that's my opinion, Europe is about 15 to 20 years behind Israel. America is about 30 years to 40 years behind Israel. That was before October 7, when it comes to jihad and intifada. After October 7, intifada and jihad, Mamdani and etc., I would say Europe is about 5 years behind Israel. America is about 10 years behind Israel, meaning that in 5 years in Europe, you're going to start seeing October 7s happening in Europe on a much maybe smaller scales, but later on bigger scales. And you're going to start seeing segregation. You're going to start seeing, the Europeans, if they wake up, you're going to start seeing them doing stuff that are extremely racist considered in their eyes, which means to separate themselves from the Muslims, because they will just keep coming and trying to kill the Christians and in general, everyone. Not all Muslims, again, but there's quite a lot of them. Look at the videos of all these migrants that keep entering Europe, Muslim migrants. They're all military age male, and they're all radicals. Like, not all, but many of them. So what do you think is going to happen? So that's Europe. America, same thing in 10 years. So having crazy, they already have it now. Like, their hands will be full. By then, they will start getting fed up with Islam. And they will face two options. Either they will roll over and let Islam take over, or they will wake up and start saying, you know what? And they would realize that they're at war with Islam. Why am I saying that? Because Islam says that. So it's not my opinion. Islam says that. They're at war with the West and that they want to conquer the West. I mean, if someone comes and says, I want to come to your country and I want to convert your country by force to Islam, and if people will not convert, I want to kill them as per Sharia law in the Quran, or I want to tax them heavy taxes and make their life miserable, but we're going to do that to your country. Isn't that your enemy? Like, that's ABC of how the enemy will talk about you. That's not a misguided, confused teenager who's college student who just have some weird ideas. That's like literally enemy invasion. So I would say that the moment that Europe and America will start experiencing what Israel has been experiencing for a very long time with jihad, then you'll start seeing them actually behaving even more viciously and more firmly than Israel when it comes to combating Islam. How do I know that? Because I have a very good friend of mine who was a tank commander in the IDF, and he's an American citizen. Then he went to the US, and we hiked together South America. We walked like South America in the jungles and etc. It was a beautiful Indiana Jones trip there. And then he went back to the US, and he decided to join the US Army and became an Apache pilot. And when he was in Afghanistan and in Saudi Arabia also stationed, and in Iraq, doing all kind of covert missions with all kind of units, from the SAS to the CIA units to the special forces, solid on combat Apache pilot in one of the craziest zones, war zones in the world. He came and he told me, Mansour, I was actually shocked to see how easy on the trigger they are compared to the IDF. And he said, the least trained the army, the more easy on the trigger they are. So the Europeans were extremely easy on the trigger. The moment someone starts shooting, they'll just shoot and kill anything. The Americans were more composed and professional about it, but also quite easy. The Israelis are extremely cautious and professional when it comes to rules of engagement. That came from an American soldier, and I've heard that from several of them. And I know it because I was an officer in the IDF, so I know the rules of engagement that we have. They're insane. They're insanely I would say sometimes crippling, but in some ways I also like them because it keeps us humane in this jungle that we're living in. So the moment that they will turn and become, exposed to what we are exposed, I believe. So what does that mean to someone living in Syria or in Jordan? It means that maybe when you're old, you'll start seeing the Middle East changing for good, and you'll start seeing a better chance for you to come and be close to Israel and live in peace with Israel. Your children might have a better future than what you had, but it will come after several very, very difficult years of wars and bloodshed, because the longer you wait, the harder it's going to become to combat Islamic invasion over the West. Jihad, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and some of these fanatic governments like Syria and Iran, and some made-up countries like Palestine. I'm just looking for political answers. Now you tell me after I gave you this brief. All right, let's see. More questions, guys. I don't know what that means, but I'll take your word on it. Thank you. That's very nice. Appreciate that. I'm working hard, trying to give you this kind of information because I feel it's important. Let's see if there's how progressive side with Islam will never. Yeah, it's insane. Progressive, the godson, it's the best explanation I heard was from Niak, an Iranian brother that lives in the UK, and then later on I heard it from many others. It's a symbiotic relationship. I'll explain. Both of them want to take down the Western world, take down democracy, bring either communism or jihad. So they realize that they need to help one another. So they come together, they help one another, and then the moment that they get in power, they try to kill one another. Usually jihad will kill the other ones because, let's be honest, a bunch of queers from Palestine fighting a bunch of Ahmed and Mustafas that have been slaughtering sheep and goats and humans from the age of 16. It's quite obvious how this combat is going to end. Now, then they have all the useful idiots, which they manipulate because it helps them. So they have all the young, useful idiots and students and etc. I said it many times in the past, students are the dumbest version of adults. They just became adults. They have no idea what it means to be an adult. And they've been told that they're special. That's a very dangerous combination. And especially Gen Z, which there's proven studies showing that Gen Z is the first generation from modern history that is actually dumber than the one before. So with that, you have a dumber generation and easily manipulated. I love Sean Pero as well. Great guys. I would like to know, where do you live in Germany and how long have you been here? Okay, Mr. Iranian spy, I'll tell you exactly where. There's a police station in Berlin right there. Actually, no. There's a very, very right-wing, borderline racist parts of Germany. There. Go look for me there. No, I'm kidding. I don't think you're an Iranian spy. But yeah, I'm living in Germany around the area of Berlin, and I've been here for the last 7 years, basically since my child was born, and I love it. It's a great country, and I really hope that it will stay a great country. I think it's one of the last strongholds in Europe right now that is like the major part. I mean, we have Poland and other places that are very clear about, the migration policies, but Germany is still quite strong against anti-Semitism and other stuff, but they're also very, very soft towards jihadist invasion, and they're, I think, on the tilting point. They're not UK or France that basically lost the plot, but they're close to it. So I really hope they don't, because I think Germany is great. Yes, we speak Arabic. بنحكي عربي معاهن, and that helps us a lot because we understand the culture. Dude, you should find a way to make short from the story video tonight in 20-second story of kind of minority cut from Israel by hostile territory. Yes. If someone want to help me, go make a short. I'll collab with you. I'll collab with you and help it be exposed. I just don't have the time sometimes to do it because I'm doing it all by myself. Sorry. Can Israel kick out those Bedouins and replace them? So let's clear things out. Can Israel kick out those Bedouins and replace them with Alawites, Kurds, and Assyrians, and basically any of the less radical, possibly friendly groups from other parts of Syria? You're talking about the Bedouins living in Syria, right? In Israel, the Bedouins living, they're citizens of Israel. They're great citizens. And, we love them. We don't want to kick them out. That would be the best idea. Yeah. That would be literally the best solution to give. I know some people will be hurt by it, and some peaceful people there that will suck for them. But that will be the best long-term solution to bring stability. Basically, the further you send away the Muslims from the border with Israel, and the more you bring non-Muslims to that border, the better situation would be. It's like in class when you have two kids fighting all the time. Just don't let them sit next to one another. Don't let them sit. But now you have one Jewish kid, and you have, let's say, 15 Muslim kids. So if you kick that Jewish kid, then you have no Jewish kids anymore. You have nowhere to sit. Anywhere you send him, he will be surrounded by Muslims. So to move that Jewish kid will not be right. Move the Muslim kid. Okay, go sit there. Sit with your Muslim friends in that corner and do all the things that you likes to do, your Sharia law, and then bring the Christian kids and the Druze kids and the Alawite kids and the Kurds kids and put them next to the Jewish kid. And then you're going to have a segment in the classroom that is very peaceful, very educational. They'll have high scores in the SATs exams and everything. They'll be great. And then you have these guys over there, the challenged group of Muslim students, and they will, be talking all day long about Sharia law and is it okay to study English or do art or hump goats? At what stage can you hump a goat? Like, these things are discussed, are officially discussed in some Muslim places around the world. So let them separate the kids. Don't let them sit next to one another. So that would be the best solution. I think that was a good explanation. I'm proud of it. Habibi Frontar 605. They are. Why Druzes don't ask to be answered by Israel? They are. Every day. Mainstream media doesn't show you. So I'm not blaming you. But if you go and you look right now, Druze living in Syria, they have more Israeli flags and pictures of Bibi Netanyahu than in Israel. They are all day long asking, please, anx us, take us, save us. Not only them, by the way, Christians are asking for that. Alawites are asking for that. Kurds are asking for that. So are you getting the point? If Israel's an apartheid, why are they all asking all the time, Israel, anx us, take us, please take us? Here you go. They want to live in Israel. They want to have a good life. In Instagram, I'm going to the Instagram crowd here. I have Ali Kurbaj. Question with all these radical Islamist groups, they are gathering in Daraa now. Do you think Israel government will do anything to assure the safety of its own people, the Druze? Yes, I think in the end of the day, Israel will literally flatten them out. Unless they will change their mind. But right now, they're gathering in Daraa, and they keep chanting that they want to kill Israelis. And sooner or later, they're going to be dumb enough and stupid enough, and they will try it. Just like Hamas tried it and Palestinians tried it, and obviously it was not a good thing, and they will be flattened out. So I think it's inevitable, unless they will become peaceful. Israel doesn't want to kill them. Israel's not looking to fight with them, but Israel will destroy them if they come to destroy Israel. And right now they are showing clear intent. We want to come and destroy Israel. So what about establishing a Druze state in Syria where they can decide on their borders, etc.? So the Druze are trying to do that. The ones that is fighting against it right now is Turkey and Saudi Arabia and obviously the government of Syria. And if it's not for the safety of Israelis, they will literally annihilate them. It's not that easy to start a country, and Israelis should know that, especially if you don't have big brothers. So Israel had a lot of very capable and rich Jews around America, mostly, that stood behind them. And also there was a big Christian part of America and some in Europe, but mostly in America, that saw this as a fulfillment of the prophecy that the Jews went back to their land. So there was a lot of support by the United States. The Druze don't have that, unfortunately. The only one supporting them right now is Israel. And Israel, with all due respect, is not as strong and capable and big and influential as the United States. So that's making it a bit harder for them, Shah Gadol, to create their own country, but that's definitely an option. And let's see if there's more question. Oh, okay. That's interesting. So the person in the beginning of the show, if you haven't seen it, said that, their family poisoned him, basically, her, because he was in love with a Jew and tried to kill her. She's saying, I believe my stepfamily is hiding their religion under the guise of Jordan Christians. Just my suspicious, though I'm not accepted because they're Arabic. There's quite a lot of non-Muslims, surprisingly, in Jordan that are pretending to be Muslims. And that includes hidden Jews that still live there. Surprise, there is. And the Druze. In some of these countries, they have to pretend to be Muslim in order not to be killed or treated very badly. It's a sad reality, but it's a reality in many, many Muslim countries around the Middle East. So that's that. Should the Alawites have their own state on the Latakia coast? I think yes. Remind you, not all the Alawites are Assad or his family. Many of them are just peaceful, innocent people that want to live in peace and are being, massacred and killed by the Muslims in Syria. I think every minority should have their own state in Syria. That's what I think. It's fair. Let them have their own. Because I tell you why. It's not like in Israel where you would say, okay, you have some Arabs here, some Bedouins there, some this, give them their autonomy. No, they're all under Israel, and Israel is a very kind and respectful country, which is literally protecting them. So they're benefiting from being Israelis. If you ask a lot of these pro-Palestinian Arabs living in Israel, okay, give me your blue passport, go and live in Palestine. No. I want to stay Israeli because they're benefiting. Actually, the life capacity, how long do they live? I forgot the word in English, but people used to die at the age of 30, for example, of Muslims when the Jews came back to the land of Israel have almost doubled, went higher. Their health situation, their economical state, everything got improved for them under the Jews. They don't tell you that in the West. So they want to stay in Israel. In Syria, on the other hand, the only time they're dealing with the government is either Bashar al-Assad is killing and massacring in the hundreds of thousands of their own people, or Ahmed al-Shara and his jihadist groups are going and even torturing them as they're killing them and plucking their hearts out of their chests. So I say it's fair to give every one of these minorities there, which we're talking about tens, if not even hundreds of thousands of them, to live in their own community and decide their own fate. They don't have to live under Sharia law. They don't want to. They're afraid. So I think you should give them their own autonomy so they can live in peace. Yes, in Muslim areas, you can see a lot of time have no greenery because that's actually quite a crazy one. Actually, very crazy. Here, look at this. Watch this, guys. Watch this. I'm not an agriculture expert, but watch this. Satellite image. You see, you have the desert, right? Desert area. Of course, not a lot of green there. The weather is very dry and hot. It's close to the center of the earth. South of Africa, very green. Europe, very green. Here, you have green around the Nile, which is not really thanks to the Egyptians, the Arabs there. It's just literally the Nile. And here in Israel, bam, green. Lebanon, green, but that's already, north that have a lot of water. Why is Syria such a desert? They're more north than Israel. Guys, they're more north than Israel. Israel doesn't have way more, but this water here, that's salty water. That's the Dead Sea. That doesn't make anything green. That is literally the driest place on earth and one of the lowest places on earth. So 300 meters under sea level. It's the lowest place on earth. It's like literally like hell. I one time was hiking. Here, watch this. When I did the Israel Trail, I almost died here. Because where is Arad? Jericho. Arad is here. Okay, yes. So I came down from Arad and I went through the wadi here. I was like in the mall there drinking water, chugging. I put like the hoodie over my head and I had the kafia. And I put the kafia on, which by the way is not belong to radical Muslims. So I had the kafia, put like in the way like this. And I was walking in the desert, and what I did is I wetted my kafia in the bathroom sink. I made it super wet so it will absorb water, and then I put it over my head so the water will stay. And then when I sweat, the water will come out of my face into the kafia and will stay. And the kafia is already humid and wet, so you stay humid in the desert. That's a lifesaver, by the way. So that's why the kafias are so efficient, and you have so many special forces that keep using them. And then I walked all the way down, and the problem that, see, there's like a camp here, but the problem is that you were supposed to walk from here to like here, and then to here, and then to like there. Yeah, behind, I'm not going to say secret places, but yeah, kind of to here, and then down. So anyway, what happened is accidentally, because me and my friends were talking, the Apache pilot guy, we're talking about cartoons and childhood cartoons. And I don't know what, we didn't notice that we need to pay attention. We used to walk really fast. We would walk 45 to 50 kilometers a day. That's about 40 to 40 something miles a day, with about, oh, I don't see my mouse. I'm like showing you nothing here, guys. My goodness. Thanks for mentioning that. Here. Sorry, guys. That was my bad. I'm still. Now you guys see it, right? So look here. This is the Dead Sea. All right. As you guys can see, we're going to have to start this from the beginning. Again, look at the area here. Desert, dry, green, water, northern part of the earth, center, hot, dry, no green, north is green, right? Nile, obviously, lots of green, but that's not thanks to the Muslims there. It's literally the Nile. It's a big, very rich river. Israel, green. How is that? Lebanon is already becoming the north. They're close to the ocean here, the north part of Israel, of this area. It's more like Europe. Syria, as you can see, guys, it's northern. It's higher. Why is it so dry? It's because they don't know how to do agriculture. They don't know how to take care of their lands. They're not very good at literally taking care of their lands. Saudi Arabia is starting to get more advanced. You see, it's becoming a little bit more. But you can see Muslim countries are not very good at preserving nature. And then I was explaining about Arad. So when I was doing the Israel Trail, I was in this area here, and I was hiking down from Arad. And the idea was that we go all the way down to here. And then we need to cross and keep going. Okay, Google Maps snitched on us. Behind the Nuclear Research Center. And walk kind of through the crater. Beautiful hike. All the way to Midrashat Ben Gurion. And then from here, we walk all the way down kind of to Eilat. So that was the southern part of Israel. Now, what happened is, me and my friend were accidentally, instead of turning here, we were talking about cartoons, enjoying our life, and I don't know what. I have sent you a DM in another platform where you dress as an aviator. Okay, I'll read it there, brother. So we went down. That's what he said. Thanks, I'll read it. Acknowledged. So Mossad is stealing their clouds. Idiot sandwich. Obi. Greta eating Beastly by the IDF. Yeah, 100%. Mossad always steal the clouds from their enemies. Approved. So I wish someone would just snip that out and put it like, see, I told you guys, an official IDF special forces came and said that. So what happened is we accidentally kept hiking down. And back then we were fit. I was just right out of the army. We would walk 40 to 50 kilometers. That's about 40 miles a day in the mountains with about 40 kilo of water and food in our backpack. 40 kilo. I don't know how much is that in the American make no sense systems. They have Fahrenheit and pounds, but I'm guessing that would be, I'm about 80 kilos. I'm 180. I'm like 6 foot tall and about 80 kilos, a little bit more, 83. So it's half my body weight. That's how much we're carrying. And we're hiking like maniacs. And we didn't notice. And we kept walking all the way down from here to the Dead Sea, which is, guys, it was getting hotter and hotter and dry and dry. And when we understood what we did, because Dennis behind us ran and said, "Did you check the maps?" And like, oh my goodness. Then we had to hike back again to here. Actually, it was to here. And then walk here and here and here. And we almost died because we almost ran out of water, basically. A good tip when you're in the desert, as someone who's a level 40 hiking in the desert, don't hike in the heat of the day. When the sun is right above your head, don't hike. That's terrible. You're going to get dehydrated. Hike in the mornings and hike in the evenings. During the hot times, go and find a shade, not the shade of a tree, because if the sun is here and I am here, the sun moves and then the shade of the tree moves. So the ground keep boiling you. So you don't want to hide under the shade of a tree in the desert, unless that's the only thing you have. Try to find a solid shade of a rock, of a mountain that has been there, something with the right angle. And that's where you'll get the best efficient energy saving rest. When we were when we were sitting in the shade of it, that was in the summer we did that, by the way, in the summer. So it was like 45 Celsius. Crazy. I don't know that in Fahrenheit, but that's insane, guys. That's really hot. Not advised. It was a survival camping, actually. So in the desert, in that level of heat, I was drinking 1 bottle of water every 6 hours when I was hiding in the shade of a rock. I was drinking 1 bottle every hour when I was hiking in the sun in the afternoon. So that's 6 bottles of water compared to 1 in terms of how much you waste. So you can't even compete against such kind of energy saving. This is so kind of you. Lee said, lies destroy lives. Nice name. The Muslims completely destroyed the land and part of Spain. Some still hasn't recovered. Let's go look. Let's look at Spain. Where is Spania? Oh, yeah. I don't know if that's the main reason, but yeah, it looks like there's definitely places there that are more. So yeah. Well, what can I tell you guys? Some cultures they build and they bring life, and some cultures they destroy. Just what it is. I mean, give me a better argument. I'm more than happy to hear. Let's see if there's more questions, guys, because I want to start wrapping it up. Yeah, it was intensive. It was intensive hike. It was a survival hike. I think he was trying to send an emoji. Face red, smiling live. Face red, smiling live. Face red, smiling live. Share screen. Yeah, that was a warning when I was not sharing the screen. Fair enough. Thanks, guys. And thanks on Instagram, whoever wrote me that. Let's see if Instagram have questions. I've had a theory for a while that the desertification in Africa and the Middle East is caused by Islam. Yes, I've read and heard about that theory. It makes actually sense. So yeah, thanks Eli Mohir and Renee Willison for reminding me about the mouse. I need to still master the art of about 50 lbs. So 40 kilos would be about 50 labs. Okay. Jessica! Hey, Jessica! Bonsai! Jessica is a Japanese, Hawaiian, amazing lady that have the cutest kid in the world. And me and that kid have established a relationship that whenever I see him or he sees me, we shout, Bonsai! And we run at one another. Send my regards to your husband and your children, Jessica. It's great seeing you here. Carrie is asking me, is my friend still my friend after this hike? Yes, he is my best friend. And they say when you do the Israel Trail, when you hike all of Israel, and you do like the Israel Trail, which is a beautiful hike, I highly recommend for anyone to do it. And like you walk basically from here to here, but there's a lot of different like paths. You would either break up your friendship or build it stronger. Most people have never been in such intense friendship situation, also so dependent on one another. You'll start fighting over how much sugar you put in your coffee. It becomes an issue because you're all drinking from the same pot, from the same finjan. And after like 1 week, you know, one was like, come on, I don't want it that sweet. I don't know what. And silly things become big fights. I've seen many, many relationships break during the Israel Trail. So our friendship became even stronger. And we all had our challenges. The most challenge I would say is that I always wanted to hike faster and longer, and they wanted to enjoy the nature and the view. And later on, I realized that they were right and I was wrong. In the beginning, I was literally running like I was some kind of a survival mission in the army, which is silly. And you should take it easy and enjoy. Absolutely best talk on Takia that I've heard. Thank you so much. Wow, there's a lot of comments. My God, this live is good. Let's see if there's any more questions. I want to try my second question. I promised to answer, so we're going to do it. My second question is, and sorry if memory betrays me, but do you remember any other condemnation from the West in regards to the slaughter of the Jews in Syria? No. No, nothing official. Crazy, right? That's how lost the West have become. Europe. Like literally nothing official. There was not an official condemnation. An entire population of minority, one of the smallest minorities in the world, was facing a real threat of genocide, and there was not a single official condemnation by the West. How crazy that is. Let's some numbskulls here writing silly stuff. Can you share more information about the chain of command and procedure when IDF calls in airstrikes on a building? Yeah, that's an interesting question. And again, we're not going to be sharing here, classified information, but just to help you understand. I remember one time when I was in Gaza, when we just started using the unmanned drones. That was when it was top secret. We're talking about like 2005, 4 and 5. Top secret. Nobody should know about this. And one time, we saw with a drone about 15 to 16 jihadists running around in order to ambush Israeli forces. And in the room, there was a brigadier and a Shabak agent that was on the phone with his people on the ground, and other officers, myself, and etc. And we saw these terrorists running, Hamas terrorists, in the plasma screens. And the brigadier was telling the pilot, shoot at them, take them down now, take them before they reach our forces. And the pilot started arguing with him, and they've reached a severe, serious argument over the phone, like shouting at one another. Because told him, sorry, sir, I don't have clear sights. But I'm seeing them. Yes, but I am not seeing what you're seeing. And he stood like under pressure. I'm telling you, that was like serious. That brigadier was a strong guy. He didn't take no for an answer. That general. And the pilot insisted, I'm not doing this because we might hurt innocent lives. And then the Shabak basically called one of his people on the ground, which was, an old Gazan, fascinating story actually, that lost his child to an IDF bullet. But he never blamed Israel for that. he actually hated Hamas so much. He had such a level of clarity that he saw that the real reason that his child died was not because an IDF soldier went and wanted to kill his child. What happened is there was Hamas guys who will go call the children of the neighborhood to come to them, give them candies and play with them, give them toys. And then when they're playing with them, they will walk them singing, all these singings that they do together, jihadist singing, walk them to a corner. And then over there, he will pull an RPG or someone will give it to him and he will laser it. Not an RPG, but there's other missiles you can laser on an Israeli tank. And it will be about to press the trigger. The Israeli tank have an advanced technology that when someone is lasering on them, their turret will the tank will automatically identify it. And then the commander can press a button because they have seconds right now before they have a terrible death. They all die a terrible death. And immediately when he presses the button, the turret will turn immediately towards that laser holder. And then the commander can press the button and just shoot at him and take him down before he kills the tank and all of its crew. And imagine yourself in that situation, how difficult it is to actually not cause civilian casualties when the terrorists that are lasering you are doing this on purpose from inside a kindergarten or surrounded by children. So there happened cases where actually there were civilian casualties because of situation like that. Taking down the terrorists ended up, costing the life of people that were around him. So that man identified that the problem here was not Israel, it was actually Hamas that killed his kid. So he started helping the Shabak. So the Shabak guy calls him, he answered on the phone. That guy spoke better Arabic than me. I was like super impressed. He was like, he didn't look like an Arab, let's just say it that way. And then he was able to give the proper information for that pilot that helped him understand exactly where are these terrorists and who they are. And then that pilot waited for them to be away from the building and only then took them down. The screen became white, because of the heat and the flash, these cameras. And then you see some of these terrorists trying to crawl, all of them did. That was an example of how serious does Israel take the rules of engagement and how sometimes long. And sometimes you would even miss the chance to take down these terrorists just because you want to make sure that you're not accidentally hurting civilians in that enemy country. I hope that answered your question. I can always expand on it in other videos, but I shared a story just to help understand. Okay, let's see. If there's any more questions. Yes, I do this in my free time, which basically is nighttime after I put my kid to bed. By the way, I'm going to be starting doing lives every day, every night, 9:30 sharp. I'm going to try to do it. If sometimes I would not do it at 9:30 or not come, you can rest assured without a single of a doubt that it's because I took my kid to sleep and then I read him a bedtime story and he did not sleep. And then he read me a bedtime story and I fell asleep. And that happened quite a lot. Any fathers out there would know that sometimes instead of putting your kid to bed, he puts you to bed. And then I wake up like all disoriented at like 1 o'clock at night or 2 and like, oh, what's happening? Oh my God, I had a show and I couldn't make it. And sometimes I'll still do it, but sometimes, I need to wake up at 6 in the morning to take my kid to school. So sometimes I will just postpone it for the next day. But in general, I'm going to be trying to be more consistent about it. And I think it's good for the viewers and it's good for YouTube and for the growth of the channel. 9:30 German time. So that's 10:30 Israel time. I will try to do these shows live where I'm explaining all kind of things about the Middle East, military, special forces, and anything in between. What about the Kurds in Syria? The Kurds in Syria are a very sad story. What have happened to them? No one believed they will fall so fast, but they were tricked and betrayed and they fell in the most horrific way. I am waiting for Itai Engel, who is an Israeli war correspondent and journalist, someone who actually went to Syria like 6 times. I think he even went in undercover into ISIS caves in Syria and played Sheshbesh with them and interviewed them. And he was living in the front line as a journalist with many of these Kurdish female warriors and male warriors, and he knows that better than anyone else in Israel, probably in the world. Some of the most knowledgeable people out there about the situation of the Kurds. And he was supposed to be in my show last week, but then he got sick, lost his voice, so we're waiting for him to recover, and then I want to bring him again on my show. It's going to be live, and when that happened, guys, definitely go and watch it. That guy is a hub of knowledge and a great storyteller. Yeah, they want to join Israel for sure. Let's see if there's any more question. What about kicking out Palestinians from Judea and Samaria and moving the Druze in? Ask me, Brooke, and your method. Great idea. Great idea. I think send the Palestinians to Jordan, to Egypt, or to Syria. Let them play games with jihadist friends and let the peaceful people in Israel the same. Same story with the classroom. There's one Jewish kid, lots of Muslim kids. Don't move the Jewish kid. He's peaceful. Haven't done anything wrong. They're bullying him. Take the Muslim kid, send him to his corner to sit with his Muslim friends, and bring a Christian and a Druze kid to sit with him around the table. And that way you're going to have quiet in the class, and you're going to have one section that you will know that will be very academic, very successful, very intelligent. One section that will sometimes be successful, but most of the time will be discussing what should they do with goats, and is it haram to read books that were written by other people except from the Quran, and haram to use science and smartphones. Someone is saying Kurds will remember Israel betrayed them. Even if Trump has tied our hands, they will still see it as betrayal, and they would be right. So to give some context into that, guys, a lot of the Kurds are arguing, how come Israel did not warn them when Turkey and Syria came and just basically slaughtered them? They must have known. And I can definitely see the logic in that. I mean, Israel probably, if they would have known, I would hope that they would have warned them. But what it seems to be that the level of betrayal was from a higher place. Tom Barak and Turkey have played a trick here where they convinced America that their best ally in Syria is actually the Al-Qaeda government of Jolani, and that the Kurds, they're not going to give you a lot of money. And Saudi Arabia was playing game also here. So they managed to push America to give the green light, basically, for Jolani and Turkey to go and invade the Kurdish part of Syria and to annex it to become part of the great Syria, the great Muslim Syria, which in the eyes of the Kurds was a huge betrayal. And I completely understand them. I wish Israel would have stood with them. But then again, Israel was dealing right now with America basically about to stop backing them up in the war, and they had to get America to join them to fight Iran. So think about it in that way from Israel perspective. There's one country that want to nuke you, and you have a chance right now to actually go and finish the job with the help of America, because they also have a responsibility there, and they also would be affected by the Iran having a nuclear weapon, or upset America to the level that America will say, okay, you're on your own. We're not helping you because you're not helping us. And by helping us, they mean like stand down. So I understand Israel from here, but I also understand the Kurds who feel betrayed. So I am sorry. I wish it was not that way. That's my interpretation. I might be wrong. That's beautiful, man. Jamie, that's beautiful. We're all one family. And Bibi will forever be remembered and thanked by the Druze for his actions and his standing by the Druze. It's not taken for granted. Let's see which other questions they have. Fine, I know map Syria, Iraq, Jordan, and Egypt, all dying up. Druze will be loyal to the country. I'm aware that Israeli Jews choose to serve in the IDF. It's mandatory, not only choose. We're the only groups, the Jews and the Druze, the only two ethnic groups in Israel, religions, that have a mandatory IDF service. All the rest can join if they want. So they enjoy all the rights, but not all the obligations. The one that share all the rights and obligations are the Druze and the Jews. Muslims and Christians enjoy all the rights, but not necessarily have all the obligations, which just shows you something about Israel, what a great country it is that is actually willing to accept that. I think Bangladesh is a better place to live than Egypt. I've heard that also. I had friends who went to Bangladesh and they said the same thing. Okay, let's see. If there's any more questions, guys, I will answer them. Who is the leader of the RGC right now? And did you watch some Dragon Ball? I think definitely the new leader of the RGC is watching a lot of anima. That's for sure. They're literally making Lego anima videos as their main tool of propaganda. Like they got defeated so badly in combat that their main effort of fighting right now is doing anima propaganda as a way to defeat America. That just shows you. And surprisingly and sadly, it's quite effective on the young Americans. They're falling for it. Will Muslims be kicked out of Israel? I hope not. I hope not. I want to make that clear. I am all for coexistence, and I am all for freedom of religion. Believe whatever you want, do whatever you want. I have my own faith. I love it. I think it's right, but I'm never going to force my faith into someone else. And I think that we should all respect one another as long as we're living. Isa James joined the episode. My man, Isa. Love this guy. He went with me to Africa, climbed a whole mountain as we were going to build an orphanage in the jungles with flip-flops. A whole African mountain with flip-flops. Mount Elgon by the border with Kenya. Big mountain. Crazy guy. Was later on in the special forces in Israel, did crazy stuff. Really cool guy. Now he's doing extreme sport. So I really hope that Muslims, peaceful one, will always be able to be welcomed in Israel and enjoy all the rights as anyone else. But I think Islam needs to do its own reform from within the religion. And that reform is to stop taqiyya and stop lying and stop always promoting jihad and massive violent conversion. And I think that's fair. You know what I'm saying? So but then some would say, okay, then they stop being Muslims. Then maybe they should. Or they should change that religion to fit it into Western civilization. Because if they don't fit with Western civilization, I think they shouldn't live in Western civilization. That's what I think. And I think the criteria for Western civilization stands very strongly on the premises of freedom of speech, equal rights as humans. We're all created in the image of God, and respect to others, even if you don't agree with them. And that, unfortunately, is not very common in Islam, and often is kind of pushed hush-hush. Now, you can say, okay, Judaism have some aspects the same, religious Jews and etc. The main difference is that religious Jews are not missionaries. As an organization, as a religion, they're not trying to force and convert and force their way of life on others. As a matter of fact, they always say, we have so many commandment, mitzvot, it's really hard to be a religious Jew. The seculars and the non-Jews, they should abide by the 8 commandments of Noah, which makes their life easier. So they never pretended that it's a better life to be a Jew. They just see that we're Jew, accept us as we are, and they're never trying to convert anyone. And I think that's a key. Islam is always trying to convert, and they're not doing it like Christianity, where they come and say, okay, pray in your heart, accept the Lord. It needs to be a personal connection between you and God. Yes, some areas of Christianity might some crazy people try to do it by force, but in general, as a religion, it's very peaceful. Islam is not. Islam literally went and converted by sword, by death, by segregation, by oppression, by enslaving. That's how they did it. It's in the Quran. So I think Muslims should have a reformed inside the religion to stop behaving that way and to start truly accepting other humans and giving them. That's how amazing Israel is. A Jewish state chose to give equal rights to non-Jews. Equal. Guys, I am a non-Jew in Israel. I have equal rights like any other Israelis. My sister is a very successful social worker. She, like, her career is just going higher and higher, getting more education. Now she's in charge of a whole chain of hotels in Israel, as an HR person. So 99% of the employees that work under her are Jews. She's a Druze. So you see, that's what I mean. It's there's a beauty about Israel when it comes to tolerance and coexistence, but it's not happening in Muslim worlds. And I think Muslims who are living in Western countries don't really want to maintain that. They want to change it and make that place a Sharia land, Dar al-Harb. And that I have a problem with. So I really hope Muslims can stay in Israel and anywhere in the West, but to live peacefully and respect. And I know some Muslim friends of mine that don't have that in their system. They don't want to enforce conversion on you, etc. The ones that I know are my friends and I believe them, but I know many that pretend to be, but actually they're doing taqiyya. Rani El Wilson is saying, my sister-in-law is Syrian, and when she visited Israel, she heard the Arab speaks against Israel. Yes, there's quite a lot of them that do that, and that's very sad. Naini Tigri Sparker. I hope I said your name right. Naina. If I butchered your name, apologies. Western civilization is currently destroying itself. Yes, very true. That's on Instagram. They don't believe in martyrdom, okay? And then Niena Tiger Sparker is saying, why not talk about the fact that the Europe can guarantee safe travel for some like Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, while men who stand for free Iran becomes target? Have you seen what happened in Berlin? Yes. So Europe is providing protection for Al-Qaeda and ISIS leaders. Meanwhile, they're compromising the leader of Iran, the Free Iran. He just had a guy walk to him today and just throw kind of tomato sauce or colors on him, but he could have easily also shot him or stabbed him. And I'll give you even more. Some places in Europe, if Bibi Netanyahu will go, they will try to arrest him, or they will have students and young woke numbskulls go around and try to attack it, disrupt it, and yell. Bibi Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. But then when you have al-Jawlani, who is an active or former active, ISIS and Al-Qaeda terrorist who beheaded people and violated women, like literally documented. He was in jail by the CIA for being a terrorist. Then, and he never, denied or said anything against this time of his life. He actually never apologized for it. He completely endorsed it until today. He is welcomed in Syria and Europe with a red carpet. So that is a sharp image of how lost and destructive Europe have become when it comes to treating evil and good. You don't have to love Israel, don't have to love Bibi, okay. But Bibi is not a jihadist. Bibi is not a suicide bomber. Bibi is not ISIS. Bibi does not go and pluck the hearts of people and just laugh, enjoy, and take a selfie out of it. So he doesn't. No Israeli do that. That's the difference. So that was a good point there. Yeah, we talked about this in the episode. We discussed this in depth. I would recommend, if you want, just go back a little bit and you can see the answers for that. And we went in depth into that. I hope Manso doesn't ignore that super chat. That's one of the most important videos on the internet. Oh, there was another super chat. Manso, please interview Raymond Ibrahim. It will boost both of your channels. Noted. I will look him up. Sounds like a good idea. Thank you for that. And then, you're right about Muslims. Did you see Raymond Ibrahim's live stream about lying for Allah? No, I didn't. Takia, and there's a few others. But yes, sounds interesting. Okay, I've seen this one, and let's see this one here. You're right about Muslims. Do you see the Raymond Ibrahim live stream? Yeah, so I'm gonna check that one up. I'm gonna Google him. Have my word, I'll check it and I'll reach out for him. And if I can find him and bring him on my show or go on his show, I'd love that. Someone became it's the same guy. Became a YouTube member. Here we go, guys. He's part of the member of this channel. Welcome to the show, brother. Much, much appreciated. Where are we now? And lies destroy lives. Lives destroy lives. It's a cool name. And she's saying very true here. Marcy Tape Merriman 8811. As most Israelis do, the Jews in Judea and Samaria don't want all Muslims gone. They want the jihadist gone. That's exactly the definition. That's the difference. We don't want all the Muslims gone. We have no problem with you, with your faith, secular or religious. Do whatever you want. We just don't want jihadists who want to kill us. Let's see. Coming close to the end, guys. Bear with me. Bear with me. I'm going to answer all the questions, at least, unless I missed one. Yes, the Druze see themselves as UV 9845. You always have good questions there. They see themselves as Jethro's offsprings. Zipporah's father, the father-in-law of Moses, when he fled the palace in Egypt. He was welcomed by Jethro into the tribe of Midian, and Jethro later on taught him how to be a leader, a politician, and also, a shepherd, and etc., and loved him so much that let him marry his daughter. And the Druze see themselves as descendant of Jethro. So that predates Islam by about 1,500 years, something like that. It's what they say. That's exactly what they say, 100%. And then they always resurfaced with a message of wisdom to share with the world. And often it was not welcomed kindly, and they went back into the hiding. And during the time of Islam, they resurfaced with a beautiful message to the Muslim Caliphate in Egypt. Hakim bi amrillah. And he liked it in the beginning, but then he started killing them, and Islam started persecuting them and considering them as infidels. So they had to go again into the shadows and hide the religion. And they moved into the mountains and started, like many other groups who lived under Islam, to pretend to be Muslims just to survive. Let's see. Europe has never had moral center. Joe Biden said that? That's interesting. Someone is asking the same question here. That's interesting. I guess when he was not under medications, he had a few clarity moments. Let's see if there's more questions. Yeah, smart observation of Slim video. I agree. All right, guys. Want to say again, thank you for sticking around, for coming to the show. This was 2 hours. 2 hours, but we had solid views the whole time. And it's really, really cool to see. Let me see how many people watched this video in total. It's hard to see. Oh, almost 2,000 people watch this video in live. So that's great. That's great. I want to thank everyone that came and joined the show and asked questions. You guys brought great questions. It was really fun answering them. If you like this kind of format, I'm actually liking it, but feel free to leave it in the comment as well. What would you like me to do a bit different or to add to the show? I'm going to be trying to do a live video once a day, or 5 times to 7 times a week. And I'm going to be trying to do it sharp on 9:30 German time. That's about 10:30 Israel time, and that's different time zones. But you can go and check it. We have ChatGPT today in Google that can help you with that. And if you have any more questions, leave them in the comment. Anything that you said that I might have said wrong, feel free to leave them. I'm only human after all, and I'm always open for corrections, and I try to do my best to correct myself and also go and do another video about it if needed. Thank you so much, Idiot Sandwich. I appreciate. If you want to help this channel keep growing, do the like, share, the subscribe, leave a comment, guys. Watch the videos. It helps a lot when you watch these videos. And also hit the bell notification. I've been looking at the analytics in some of my videos lately, and I see that from the 60-something thousand subscribers that I have, the channel is growing and is doing great, but 63,376 subscribers that we have right now on this channel, which is amazing how fast we grew and where we reached. But about 80 to 120 only watch my videos based on the bell notification. And I can tell you right now, that is a big part of the fact that these videos don't get shared with wider crowds. And why? Because when you put a video out there, YouTube immediately checks, okay, this channel is about politics, is about the Middle East, is about kittens, kids doing duck faces in the camera, doesn't matter what, cars. And then YouTube will immediately say, okay, let's see if that's an interesting content. And they will check for the first hour or so how many people watched it and how long did they watch, because they want to put advertisement. They want to put advertisement so they can make money. And a video that more people are watching, they can put more advertisement, because if they put it every second, you're going to leave the video. So they put it every few minutes, I guess. And then they want to be long enough to put enough advertisement and enough people to watch it. So if they see, okay, that video seems interesting because people who are interested in cars are watching that video. So, and that's from his subscribers. So now it's safe to actually send it into the real estate plot on someone's phone for the video that comes next. So someone will watch a video, scroll, oh, that looks interesting. The thumbnail looks cool. That's a video about cars. Let's check it. And then you'll go in and watch that video. And then if they watch it also, then YouTube will say, wow, I can make a lot of money on this video because I'm putting commercials on them, ads. So now it's a great video. I'm going to send it to all the people who watch this kind of content. And then your channel get exposed to more. So that's why the subscribers and the members of a channel have a great way of impacting the growth of the channel. Now, why am I saying that? Because I didn't know that. I was not into YouTube before. I barely had an email for the first 25 years of my life. I was completely, no email, no Facebook, social media. I wasn't into these things. I was in the army also. I couldn't with the job that I was doing. So that what happened is that I didn't know these things. Now I know. So that's why I want you to know, because I know many people back home think like, how can we help this channel? How can we help Mansour? How can we help this message grow? That is one way. Do the bell. Another great way to help me keep making videos for you, and some people here already in my Patreon program, go and check my Patreon, where you can literally either join for free or choose one of the tiers that you can choose there on a monthly base or a yearly base if you want to have a discount. And you can move all the way from 3 months, $3 a month. And I think if you take it for a yearly plan, you get like 20 or 30% off. So like 20-30% off from $3. That's a good deal, guys. And it might be like a cup of coffee or Starbucks for someone, but for content creator, when you have, piling up people who are doing these things, then you start making a salary that you can live from. So that's why I help. My God, look at these guys. I build you. Legends. Permanti. That's like Hebrew for I build you. I've been Greece. Greeks are lovely. Good to know, Kitten. Thanks for sharing that. Euro. I'm not so sure what's the context here, but thanks. Great show. In his care forever. Thank you so much as well. And yes, guys, hit the like. So don't be billed and don't be billed and notificate. Yeah. I said $3. Yes. In Patreon, it's euro. Maybe you see it as euro because it probably does a conversion. No, in my Patreon it says dollars. So, but yeah, you probably see it as euro, but the tier is dollar. So actually, if you're paying by euro, then you'll probably pay less. It'll be like 2.5 or 2.4. I'm not so sure. The euro is way stronger right now than the dollar, or the dollar is falling down. So yeah, could be like 2.5 euros or $3 for you in a basically month, and you have higher tiers if you want to support more. You have different tiers, different levels, but to some it might not be a huge sacrifice if you find that content creator worthy. And if you find someone else more worthy, go ahead and support him. My point is, a lot of people don't know that this is possible and how helpful it is for content creators. So if you do, that's a great way to do that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to finish this episode and say, stay safe. God bless you all. May we see peace in the Middle East and, all around the world. And like I always say, don't do anything stupid. And in general, don't do anything that I would do, which is in this case is hike in the desert in the heat of August in one of the hottest, most dry places on the face of this earth, the Dead Sea. Almost lost my life there. There's a lot. I'm not just saying that for fun all the time. Don't do things that I would do. I've literally done a lot of things in my life that probably it's a miracle that I'm still alive. So a lot of them I don't recommend, but I learned a lot from them. But until then, guys, stay safe. See you next time.